We are here this morning to urge the legislature to put $52 million back in the budget for child care assistance for families that are working or going to school that need help getting child care in our state.
Tell us why that's important.
It's critically important because we know the first 5 years of life that 90% of the brain develops during that time, and we want to make sure that children have access to quality early care and education so their parents can go to school and work and they can be prepared for kindergarten on day one.
Where does Louisiana rank compared to other states on this issue?
Well, if you look at our accountability system, we're in the top 20 in the country. So wherever our public dollars go, we know that we have a system that's accountable to our children and to our public dollars so that we know that quality is happening for our young children.
Tell us, what is the alternative if this does not happen?
The alternative is this. We have 16,000 children right now that are on the precipice of losing access to quality early care and education. This $52 million would save 4,000 of those 16,000 children to make sure that they would maintain access to quality early care and education in our state. My name is Libby Saunier, and I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. We have gathered here today as members of Ready Louisiana Coalition, which is the leading advocacy group for early care and education in our state with over 150 members strong. We are here today to implore the state legislators to restore the early care and education funding. Over the weekend, the Louisiana Senate Finance Committee approved a budget funding of only $14 million, for which we are thankful, but we are requesting $52 million for child care assistance. While this $14 million is a step in the right direction and appreciated, $14 million does not fully address Louisiana's serious child care issues in our state. The full Senate is expected to pass the budget today and then return the bill to the House of Representatives. The last day of our regular session is on Thursday. With only a few days left in session, we are facing a dire situation. The legislature must appropriate new funding for child care assistance program this year, and we cannot stand by while a program that impacts all of us is gutted. Louisiana has the money to invest in our children. Our legislators must see this through. Let me now introduce a friend, a colleague, a coalition member, Michael Williamson, who is the president and CEO of the United Way of Southeast Louisiana, an organization that is on the front lines working tirelessly to advance early care and education in our state. Michael?
All right, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank y'all. So thanks, Libby, for those words and your warm introduction. Yeah, Libby's right. We're here this morning at a critical juncture with vast implications for future funding, if not restored, for early care and education today. Studies show that the state's economy loses $1.3 billion, that's billion with a B, and Louisiana businesses lose over $760 million every year due to child care breakdowns alone. We were hopeful going into this year's fiscal session that legislators would build upon past investments in young children and working parents, as the state currently allocates less than 1% of its state budget to this critical need. In 2019, a bipartisan commission unanimously approved a plan to address the lack of high-quality, affordable care for vulnerable families. That plan is yet to be fully implemented. In 2022, state lawmakers made a historic down payment by allocating new funding for early care and education. However, Louisiana is running out of significant amount of one-time federal dollars, and over 16,000 high-quality early care and education seats are being lost statewide. The $52 million originally in House Bill 1 and removed this weekend would save approximately 4,000 of those seats. The clock is ticking, and our children's future depends on the decisions our legislators will make today. Investing in early care and education is not only a moral imperative, but also a smart economic move with up to 13% annual return on that investment. I'd like to see our stock accounts do that well. If we don't act now, we risk falling further behind, depriving children and families of opportunities to thrive. Our children's future, you see our children here, simply cannot wait. Now, we have two legislative champions who understand this and have supported funding for early care and education, and they are Representative Barbara Freiberg and Senator Beth Mizell. I want to welcome both of them and allow them a few minutes to share their thoughts. Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Libby. I'm pleased to be here with my colleague, Beth Mizell. I will tell you, you just heard the data. You know how important it is. We have an opportunity that we must take the challenge and take the opportunity to fund this early childhood education. We have over 170,000 disadvantaged students ages birth to 3 who need critical education support. This legislative session, we have had a budget cut of about $52 million, and we must work hard to put that money back in if we are to see the Louisiana we all envision our state to be now and in the future. Our legislature has a chance to build a bridge to a future where a strong early care and education system helps children, helps families, helps businesses, and helps our communities. Now is the time to leverage and build upon the important state investments we've made. To avoid this fiscal cliff that's looming, we must put the money back into the budget for immediate investment. I'm working hard to see this is done. I know my colleague Beth is also doing the same. Now is the time to go forward, not backwards, and I want to thank the Ready Louisiana Coalition for their efforts and advocacy. And I'll turn it over to my mentor and my colleague, Senator Beth Mizell.
Don't do that to me. Thank you, thank you. I just want to add to my friend here. We sit in that building every day and we see problems. We see problems with incarceration, we see problems with literacy, we see problems with workforce. And when you look at the foundation that can be laid by giving all of our children an opportunity to go into a place that's going to prepare them to be literate, to be responsible, to be productive, and to be a good member of the community all around. It's a huge opportunity we have right now, and it's something that I think we sell over and over as a game changer in so many ways of what we see in Louisiana. So I join with, we've had the same choir for a long time. We've had the same choir, but the need just keeps getting greater, and our voices, I believe, have gotten louder. And I think it's really important that the people who are the decision makers, who may not feel touched by the concerns that we've seen, hear us this year. And I think together we can have a really loud voice and get this done. So I just thank y'all for giving this your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Good afternoon. I'm Regina Barrow, and I see two of my other colleagues, and I'm going to ask them to join me up here at the mic, Senator Boudreaux and Senator Price, who are also great advocates for early childhood education. And we are here because we joined this choir as well and have been singing for a very long time. The science and the data prove that when we invest early in our children, the dividends will pay off. And so this is a no-brainer. However, you know, we have a lot of money right now, and there are a lot of needs. And I'm saying that we need to prioritize those needs. And those priorities for me is our children. And so we need to make sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is. And so, we will continue to sing louder, be more active, and fighting for our children to make sure that that funding is put in. Right now, I've heard that it has not been put in to the tune that we need it to be. But we will continue that fight, and we'll continue that fight today on the floor. So again, if my colleagues would like to add to that, we just want everybody to know that we stand with you. We are part of this choir, and we will continue to be a part of this choir because education for our children is the most vital thing we could ever invest in. They are our greatest resource, our children. So thank you.
And I certainly want to say that I'm here to support this effort. I don't sing in the choir, but I can sing loud about early childhood education. So I will be singing about early childhood education and the need for it. Senator Barrow made a great point that we just got to stand here and fight and make sure this happens. So I'm here for you. I will be here for you. Thank you.
So I know we have a lot of support here. The money is there. You know, we talk about we don't want to do this and do that, but you see, when it comes time to incarceration, we don't have choices. When we talk about the juvenile crimes that are being committed, it's because we haven't put those resources where they need to at the appropriate time. Now is the appropriate time. Now it is time for us. Look, the big businesses, they're going to get their tax breaks. All the corporations, they're going to get what they need. Our youth need it today.
Yes.
While we have the money. And you see, once we incarcerate them, we can't afford it. So let's put it in education instead of incarceration. Let's flip the script, and let's quit talking. We have the money. When we didn't have it, it was a whole different topic. And the story about the federal dollars are gone and we can't replace it, we're doing it with everything else. Everywhere else that we lost federal dollars, look at the budget. They've already included it in. But we got to fight for these people,
That's right.
for our people, for these kids.
Yes.
Something's wrong. Thank y'all for being here. Thanks everybody who's standing behind us. We're not going to stop. And let me say this, including me, when October comes, if I don't do the right thing, send me home and let me stay there. And that's what we do. They vote wrong and then we bring them back. These kids are asking for help. I hear them. Thank y'all.
Hi, my name is John Diaz, Chief Administrator Officer in Ascension Parish. Ascension Parish, like a lot of communities across the state, is no strangers to pockets of poverty, pockets of low educational outcome, pockets of high crime rates. A year ago, we were excited. We took the lead of the state to partner with them on early childhood education to go upstream with a lot of these problems and invest in early childhood education. Parish government, along with the school board, the library board, and the sheriff's department, has committed $8.6 million in one-time dollars to fund early childhood education in the city of Donaldsonville, a city which has a poverty rate of 47%. So even if they had a type 3 daycare center, and they don't, they couldn't afford it anyway. And so this is our effort to go upstream and invest in what we call the first fix for Donaldsonville. You can't talk about closing achievement gap, and until you close the achievement gap, you'll never close the skills gap, and until you close the skills gap, you'll never close the income gap. And so this is our fight against poverty, and it starts in Donaldsonville. So, and I'll be honest with you, we've done our part. And we find it hard to believe that in a $30+ billion budget with a $1.5 billion surplus, you can't find $52 million. That's 0.2% of the total budget. So we just ask the state to step up, do your part. Let's continue this partnership. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. And John is right. I'm Christy Gilmore, and I represent West Baton Rouge Ready Start Network. And we, too, are leveraging those local state dollars that were dedicated to early care and education. This is an issue that we must work together to solve. In West Baton Rouge Parish, there's an estimated 1,095 in-need children ages birth to 4. 30%, only 30% of those children have access to a publicly funded child care seat. That leaves 800 children unserved. So is there any wonder that only 28% of West Baton Rouge students enter kindergarten on track? That means that our teachers in West Baton Rouge Parish have to spend the first part of the year catching up 70% of their students from the start. Instead of investing in remedial educational services, why won't we spend our money on these children in the years that their brains are developing the most rapidly? In West Baton Rouge Parish at our Ready Start Network, we are doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that these children have access to quality care. That is why the legislature should do everything that it possibly can. Everything that it possibly can do it. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Paula Polito, representing the Ready Louisiana Coalition as part of the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce. We have stood up a parish-wide effort in Jefferson Parish, supported by our business community, to provide funded seats for families across the area. Our community understands that the state will lose billions in productivity over the next decade if we fail to invest in young children. We need to support child care centers with this funding, save the seats threatened by this budget measure, and stand up a fully funded effort to get our children into early care and education from birth to 3. A cut in funding ignores the central role that caregivers play in supporting our economy and will fail Louisiana child care centers, families, and children. We can't let that happen. Too many Louisiana families are struggling to pay the bills and put food on the table. The cost of everyday life, including child care, is rising every day. Investing in young children results in direct returns for our state and communities. In other words, the more we invest in young children now, the more we all benefit tomorrow. By giving parents the opportunities they need to make the best choices their children deserve and improving early learning opportunities for young children, we increase their chances of success in school, society, and life. If we want to support working families, strengthen Louisiana's workforce and economy, and see direct returns for our state and communities, we need to invest in young children. Thank you all for having us here today and for listening to this critical message we want to send to our legislators and the voters of our state. We invite everyone to email your state reps this morning and let them know how important this issue is and ask them to restore the budget we need for early care and education. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are so happy to be here today because it is very important that we be here, your House of Representatives. If you will recall, we led the fight early on to have this money restored in the budget, and we're so happy to have our Senate colleagues on the same page and leading that fight as well. There is nothing, absolutely nothing more important than investing in the future of our children. And that's what this is about. That is the message. You are here because representative government works. Take your time today, talk to the people that you need to speak with, make them understand how important that restoring this money is. It is our future. We can't sing and have hands together and say that we believe the children are the future if we don't invest in the future. Our children are our future. This investment matters. Our children matters. I want to thank everyone for being here today because it is the most important thing that we can do as legislators to ensure future for our children.
Thank you, and just to reiterate, back on the hands of Senator Boudreaux, hold us accountable. Follow the votes. Follow the votes. We are here only because of you, who are voters to put us here and speak for you. However, I'd like to encourage parents, please continue to speak up for your children. When it comes to the teacher wages, we have no teaching if we have no teachers for our students. So please, we know that they're important, and we hope that everyone is on the same page. But I ask of you to please remember, follow the vote, and parents, please continue to speak up for our future generations. Thank you so much for being here.
Look, there's nothing more that I need to say than what the sign says. Invest in him, invest in kids just like him. You know, as one hip hop artist said, don't talk about it, let's be about it. And so it's time for us to be about it. Yes. You know, we need to end this prison pipeline. We need to invest in these kids. And I think, look, I don't want to reiterate what everybody said, but I think what Senator Boudreaux said was absolutely appropriate. Let's invest in education, not incarceration, so we can make our state better. Yeah. Thank you.
And that concludes our press conference today. Thank you all so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
The children in my district are mostly rural. They have very little opportunities for access, either education or health care, or really any opportunities to enrich early childhood. So it's really important, especially to the rural areas where it's harder to come by, for them to find ways to prepare children to enter kindergarten and give them really the opportunity to feel comfortable as they go to the next level with public school.
And how dependent are the parents on this service?
The parents are absolutely dependent on it, because without an opportunity to put their child in child care, they can't go back to school. We've got a community college that has tried to offer some services with that, and it's not enough seats. We have a Southeastern University right there, but the parents have to have a place to leave their children so that they can either continue their education or at least get into the workforce when they're ready for that.
It's my experience with the Early Childhood Commission that's made me aware of the critical need we have in this state for more early childhood education, particularly CCAP students who need it the most. And economically, it is, to me, the number one difference maker in improving the economy of this state. I think that if we don't catch kids by the age of 5, where 90% of the brain is developed, we haven't set in place those structures that are so necessary for learning throughout their careers.
The children that I serve in West Baton Rouge Parish, most of them are in-need families, and we have about 70 who are benefiting from publicly funded seats, and these are working families. These are children ages birth to 4 years old that attend our privately owned child care facilities.
How valuable is the service that you're currently offering now?
Invaluable. As we know, from 0 to 5 is the benchmark when children's brains are most malleable. So the jobs that we do is invaluable for the economy, it is invaluable for our communities, invaluable.
What happens if the money goes away for these services?
If these funds are not replaced, replenished, sustained, we are going to be looking at long-term educational effects. We're going to be looking at long-term community effects. We're going to be looking at a workforce shortage for early childhood education, and our post-secondary and secondary teachers are going to have a hill to climb.
In Southeast Louisiana, we fight for ALICE households. These are households that are asset limited, income constrained, but they're employed, they're hardworking, but they need child care to be able to go to work and show up and do their jobs. And so we fight for them and their children. And then here, we're talking about roughly 4,000 young children that could potentially lose access to child care.
How valuable is the service that you're currently providing to these children?
Well, high quality early care and education is essential, not just as a long-term strategy to help kids, grow up to be thriving young people and adults, but it's also important to families, once again, that, individuals want to show up to work, but they need a place that their children can go and learn and grow. So it's an imperative investment, and it's something we have to do.
Well, the Committee 100 is a group of executives from throughout Louisiana, over 100 of them, who are concerned with the workforce issue. And this is a workforce issue because we want people to be trained. We want them to be ready. Our LA4 program has proved the point that early education is important and it contributes to a better life. It contributes to a more productive person. Starting with 2- and 3-year-olds next is where we need to be. Now, we just injected a bunch of capital with federal money last year, but losing it this year, we've got to bring those seats back so those kids can be in school, so they can be better prepared, because we've gone into issues dealing with transportation and infrastructure, dealing with social reform relative to having a better environment, dealing with everything from fiscal reform and education. But in the of those four, education, early childhood is part of that. It's a workforce issue.
A year ago, we were excited to see the state reach out to the local communities to partner on early childhood education, something we see as a first fix to solving poverty, reducing crime, closing the achievement gap. And we were excited, so we invested about $8.6 million in one-time dollars. We've also committed another $1 million a year in recurring dollars. And we just think that in a budget of $30+ billion, you should be able to find $52 million to live up to your part of the deal and to partner with local government to solve a critical problem.
The biggest concern that I have is that crime and poverty are the two biggest issues in our state. And the only way that we're going to address that is with education. And right now, the truancy rate in our state is 46%. So that means kids aren't in school. The funding here would help to get our earliest kids in school. We're talking about 4,000 seats and I understand it's 0.1% of the total budget. So it's a great investment. We need to get our kids in school so we can fight the crime and the poverty in our community. So I'm hoping we get the support, get it passed, get it funded. It's best for the future of our kids, best for the future of our state.
Early care and education really is an economic and a workforce issue. We know that Louisiana loses $1.3 billion annually due to child care breakdowns to our economy, and we know that our businesses lose $762 million annually. So this is a workforce of today issue and a workforce of tomorrow issue, and we have made great strides in our state related to early care and education, and we cannot afford to lose the momentum right now.
How can people get more information?
They can go to our website at readylouisiana.org. It is a coalition made up of over 150 organizations. There are talking points there as well as links to email legislators.